Welcome Cancer to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 22nd of July for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. I'd like you to think back over the last month. The Sun has been in your sign, giving you an awesome opportunity to set your stall out when it comes to your individual talents, creativity and flair, but where you want to instigate any new beginnings. But of course you did face two full moons, which is essentially an opposition. And that also featured your ruling planet, the Moon, right at the start of the Sun's journey through your sign and as last week came to a close. But what made those two full moons different is the first one was affected by Neptune in a less than positive way. The second one was blessed. And in fact, as you come into this week, Neptune angles beautifully to the Sun in your sign. This gives you an opportunity to try to be philosophical if there are some challenges developing in your situation. But it may be difficult to stick with that, to be honest, because Mars also arrived in a very tender part of your situation as last week came to a close, the 12th house, and is going to be there for the next 6 weeks. The 12th house in traditional astrology can be hidden enemies, and of course Mars can be to do with force. What I would say to you is you may be surprised at some issues from your past that you thought you'd resolved could still be lurking deep in your subconscious. Mars has a tendency, moving through the 12th house, to stir up those energies. Sometimes we can feel tearful, sometimes we can feel on edge, sometimes rather angry. But Mars forges an amazing link to Pluto right at the start of this week in a very deep and psychological area itself. And Pluto's about transformation. So even if you do face something this week that's tricky, or someone confronts you about a situation that they see very differently, and it could be something that goes back to that clash between Mars and Uranus last week. If there was a disagreement then, there could be something that's still rumbling from that as Mercury clashes with Uranus through to Thursday. Now Mercury and Venus in Leo have been priming up your financial sector, and the Sun moves later on Monday to join them. On the face of it, that can give you a return on some of the things that you've been developing over the last 4 weeks. This could be to do with hobbies, could be to do with interests, could be to do with a business idea. It may even be to do with a relationship. If everything is going well, I feel that you can start to get the foundations of all of that bedded down better. But if someone does see something very differently to you, the chances are they could oppose you in a very strident way. So a bit of a power battle is possible, particularly on Tuesday. It may be about shared resources, could be about spending decisions, a budget, it may be about a business, it may be about personal finance, it could even be about a romantic situation. A battle of wills is possible. But by Thursday, as Mercury, the planet of communication, moves into the second of two signs that it rules of Virgo, this gives you an opportunity to step back, be a bit more detached, try to work things out in a more logical way. Because however intense things have been, Neptune's application to the Sun at the start of this week asks you to see the best in people and to have some trust in the process. Mercury later in the week is asking you to understand why their responses have been as they have. But equally, it still may have rocked you if someone has been very trenchant in their opposition to what you want. Now, by Friday, if this is to do with a professional role, for example, your employer or people you employ or your own personal business, with Chiron, the so-called wounded healer, going into a retrograde through to the 29th of December, you may need to do some soul searching to unpick exactly what you want in terms of how you connect to the world, how you earn your living, how others you work with view you. And it's very much to do with identity, Chiron in Aries. If you feel really strong about your public identity, this could be an opportunity to understand other people's responses. But if you do feel less assured, dig deep and try to work with Chiron's help. Now, as the week draws to a close, we get a repetition of the energy in a way that we had with Mercury and Uranus, as the quarter moon in Taurus clashes with the sun in Leo. For you, this is an 11th second house energy. The 11th house, where Uranus has been giving you a lot of provocation over recent years to try different things, your future, your friendships, your connections, your ideals. But the sun in the second house can be about money. So it may be that you and a friend can see something in a different way, or suddenly if you are planning some kind of new venture or start, you're being checked in terms of the idealism. So I feel that Mercury moving into Virgo is a great chance for you towards the end of this week to really get as grounded as possible in whatever you're trying to do. But also you may have to accept that someone does just see something differently to you, or maybe you see something very differently to them. It's been great being with you, but if you would like to have a one-to-one with me, a personal consultation, please check out my testimonials below. I don't edit these, I share them as is. Discover what other people have found working with me. If you would like to become a patron from $3 a month, I upload a lot of extra information. If you are already a Patreon, thank you so much for all your support. And if you would like to ascend beyond this zodiac forecast and embrace the power of more serious astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place, or date and place if you don't know your time, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you searing insights to the patterns that are played out in your life so far, but a much more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies future forwards. In my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12 months transits. That's the moving planets in the sky interacting with your totally unique blueprint. Also, if you know your tropical astrology, but you'd like to discover your draconic astrology based on your soul, your karmic charts, please see below for that too. The same package can be very, very different to your natal chart, but very much an eye-opener. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.